Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're all well and having a really great day so far. Today's video is a Project Pan 2022 update and I'll be sharing my progress for the month of March. I've actually got 5 empties which I'm so pleased about, and I'll be rolling in 5 new products to replace those. If you'd like to see how I got on, then grab yourself a drink, subscribe if you haven't already, and keep on watching. First up is the Nars Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation, and mine's in the shade Mont Blanc. I did leave this to settle for a couple of days so I could mark the bottle, and as you can see I've made some quite good progress in comparison to February. I did use this foundation 10 times in March and I have discovered I do prefer to wear it without setting it with powder. For me and my skin type, I think it just gives a nice natural finish to the skin, but I've really been enjoying using this and I'm happy to keep it in the project. Next up is the Mercier Flawless Fusion Concealer, and mine's in the shade 1N. I think I've mentioned before that it is a little bit difficult to see the progress with this because it does stick to the side of the tube, but I have reached for this 8 times this month, which I think is pretty good going, and I always like to pair this one with a light to medium coverage foundation. I just think that it matches really well. Next up is the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade 16N, which is Fair Light Neutral. I've reached for this one 13 times this month and I'm really pleased with that progress. I've really been enjoying using this with the Nars Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. I think that those two pair really well. And the last concealer I have in the project is the Nars Soft Matte Complete Concealer in the shade Vanilla. I'm really pleased with this progress. I've managed to use this 18 times in March. Still no pan, I just can't believe it. I think I mentioned last time how long it's taken me to reach the bottom of this concealer. There is a very big dent in here and I'm sure every day that I'm going to see some pan at the bottom of this, but happy to keep using it. It's a great spot concealer and I also really enjoy it as an eye base as well. A new product that I rolled into the project last month was the MAC Prep and Prime Highlighter Pen in the shade Radiant Rose. I have only reached for this 4 times this month, which I was a bit disappointed with. I did keep forgetting that this was included in the project, so I've moved this into my everyday makeup bag, and now that it's sitting in there I'm hoping that I'll get much more use out of it in April. A product that I have got slightly more use out of this month is the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wand in the shade Spotlight. I think that I only reached for this a couple of times in February, but I did use it 5 times in March, and I am enjoying wearing this underneath foundation just so it gives a subtle glow to the cheek. Now that I know that I enjoy wearing it that way, I think that I will get a bit more use out of it in April, but happy to keep using this in the project. Next up is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Contour Wand in the shade Light Medium. This was another product that I only reached for twice in February, and in March I've used it 4 times. Although that's an improvement on last month, I do want to use it a lot more in April, just because I want to have some good progress on this in the first 6 months of the year. So my goal for April will be to reach for this at least 10 times. Another cream contour product is the Huda Beauty Tantour, and mine's in the shade Fair. I do like to use this as a cream contour but also as a cream bronzer if I want a softer look that day. I reached for this 6 times in the month of March and hopefully you can see that I've expanded the pan just to get a little bit closer to this edge here, but not as much progress as I would have liked to have had. Again, I think that in April I'd like to use this at least 10 times and then I'll feel that I'm progressing well. I've also got a powder bronzer in the project, which is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Bronzer in the shade Luminous Bronze Light. One of my favourite bronzers of all time, but I did only reach for this 7 times this month, so I think in comparison to February you won't see too much progress compared to last month's picture. I did start a project 10 uses in March and included 2 powder bronzers in there, so I think this is the reason that I've not reached for this one so much. But I am happy for this one to be a slow burn product. If it takes most of the year to fully use up this bronzer, I'm quite happy for that to be the case. A product that I have done really well with this month is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in the shade Dim Light. I've used this 14 times this month, and I think in comparison to last month you'll be able to see that I've really expanded the pan here. There's now only a little bit of product just around these two edges, so I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to completely pan this by the next update video. And a product that I didn't do very well with at all, in fact I didn't even use it once this month, was the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in the shade Diffuse Light. I think because I was concentrating so much on that other powder, I didn't reach for this palette at all this month. But once that powder is fully panned, I'm sure that I'll be mixing together these two shades, which is how I like to wear the powder, and I'll start to see much more progress on this palette instead. A new product that I did roll in on last month's update video was the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow in the shade Taupe. I have reached for this 20 times this month, and I think you'll be able to see that I have made a pretty substantial dip in there now. I'm sure that it's going to take me the majority of the year to fully use this up. There is a hell of a lot of product in there, but just as a comparison to last month, I'm pretty impressed with the progress that I've made so far. Another product that I've done really well with this month is the Charlotte Tilbury Wonderglow Primer. I did use this 21 times in March compared to 14 times in February, so I'm really happy I've managed to use it a bit more. If we have a look at the progress down the side, I think it's probably going to take me another couple of months to fully use this up, but I'd be really pleased to get this out of my collection. It's not a bad product, this is a really nice primer, but for me I have too many primers in my collection, so I'm looking to get that number down by the end of the year. If I could have this fully used up by June, I'd be really happy with that. Next up is the Charlotte Tilbury Charlotte's Genius Magic Powder, and mine's in the shade Fair. I've used this 14 times this month, which is a little bit less than the month before, but the main reason for that is because I've been enjoying wearing the Nars Natural Radiant Foundation without setting it. This is going to be a slow burn product. It normally takes me about a year at least to fully pan a loose powder, so I'm happy for this to plod along, and if I can use this up by the end of the year, I'd be absolutely ecstatic with that. And another product from Charlotte Tilbury, and that is her Kissing Lipstick in the shade Penelope Pink. I've used this 13 times this month, which I'm really happy about. It's a lot more than I've used it in February, and I think you'll be able to see that I'm not far off from completely levelling the top of that lipstick now. It is possible that I will roll this out next month, because if I can get that completely level, I think I would be pretty happy with that. If I'm really enjoying using the product, I may use up the rest of the product that's in the tube at the bottom, but I'll just have to see how I'm getting on with it. I did include a couple of fragrances in my project pan, which I think was a really great decision. I'm getting a lot more use out of my perfumes now. The first one is this one from Jo Malone. This was a limited edition fragrance, and it's in the scent Silk Blossom. It's absolutely gorgeous, especially for this time of year. I've used this 11 times this month, and I think you'll be able to see the progress that I'm making at the back there. It is quite slow, so I think that I'm going to be still using this for a fair few months, but just happy that I'm using them now. And the other fragrance was this one from Jimmy Choo. Again, a really nice fragrance for every day, and I did reach for this 14 times. You'll be able to see the markers on the back there. It is a little bit deceptive though, because this is the widest part of the bottle. I think once we get past this point, you'll see the markers, you know, have more of a difference each month. Now, moving on to the products that I did manage to fully use up in March, and the first one is this Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation in the shade 3. I'm really happy to have got a foundation out of my collection. Foundations are an area of my makeup collection that I do want to reduce this year. I've really enjoyed using it, and I did manage to get another 7 uses out of it in March. But as this one is fully finished, I am going to be adding in the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder. This is a slightly more lightweight formula than the Magic Foundation, but I think that I'm going to really enjoy using this over the warmer months. It was in my project pan last year, so I'm starting off by you know, being this far down the bottle. If I could get this done by the end of August, I think I'd be really happy with that progress, so that's the target, but happy to add this one in. Another empty for March is the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray, and I think in my last update I shook the bottle and it was pretty obvious there wasn't much left in here. I did manage to squeeze out another 7 uses from it before I rolled in another setting spray to the project, and that was the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. I marked the side when I started using it and I have used it 11 times this month. I just need to remember to mark the bottle before we go into April. Another product that I completely used up was the Benefit GimMe Bro in the shade 3. I used this 19 times in March, which I think was pretty similar to February, but really happy to have this out of my collection. I don't have too many brow products, but I think I could probably get that down a little bit more. So I am going to be adding in the mini-sized Benefit 24-hour brow set. This is just a clear brow gel, so I don't think it's going to be too difficult to get this used up. I have used it quite a few times so far, so if I could get this fully done either by the April update or the May update, I'd be happy with that. My fourth makeup empty is this Charlotte Tilbury lip gloss in the shade Pillow Talk. I really enjoyed using this. It's an absolutely beautiful shade and I did use it 49 times this month, which is pretty good going. You can see from the progress lines at the back, you know, I have used quite a big chunk of this tube up. I think with lip products it's maybe a bit easier to pan than something like a foundation because you can obviously apply them several times in a day. But lip products is an area of my makeup collection that is probably the largest. I would like to finish the year with less than I've started. I'm trying not to buy too many if I can help it this year. So I do want to replace this lip gloss with another, and I've chosen this one from Huda Beauty, which was part of her Rose Quartz collection. I added this into my Project 10 uses this month and I used it 10 times pretty quickly, so I know that I'm enjoying using it. This is where I'm at the moment, so not too much left in the tube, and I'm hoping that I can get that fully used up in a month or two. And my fifth and final empty is this Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. I have easily used this over 100 times before it's fully panned, so I think that it's really good value for money. One of my all-time favourite makeup products. This one is in shade 2, but I do have shade 1 in my collection as well, so I will start working on that one now. But really happy to have got good value for money and, you know, use this up in full. Because I know the Hollywood Flawless Filter takes such a long time to pan, I don't want to add in the other shade into this project. I think it would be pretty boring. It might take me a couple of years to fully use that up. So I am going to add the Charlotte Tilbury eyeliner in the shade Pillow Talk. I am pretty boring when it comes to eyeliners. I tend to gravitate more towards black and brown liners, so I do want to try and get more use out of the coloured liners in my collection this year. I do have a lot of Pillow Talk products, so this is going to lend itself to go with those really nicely, and hopefully, you know, using the Pillow Talk eyeshadow palettes, Eyes to Mesmerise, and maybe the Jewel Pot as well might encourage me to reach for this one a little bit more. So I'll see how I get on. If I'm not enjoying using it, then I may roll it out in a month or two, but I want to give it a chance first. So guys, that was my 2022 Project Pan update for March. I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please let me know by giving the video a like, and if you would like to see more videos from me, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because I'd love to have you back. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you on my next one. Enjoy the rest of your day.